The night was quiet. I leaned back against the sofa, remote control in hand, and sighed. Ah, so boring. My fingers suddenly froze. My eyes, as if out of control, fixed on the man on the TV screen. I couldn't look away. Without realizing it, I whispered his name under my breath, Lin Shuhao. I heard that this drama's final episode hit a 32% rating. That means, if you count everyone in the country, 1 out of every 2 people had watched it. Looking at him on screen, even the beef jerky in my hand suddenly lost its flavor. His name is Lin Shuhao. 3 years ago, he was the youngest member of our idol group, the Rocket Boys. Just from the name, you could tell our concept: cool, flashy, every trendy element packed into one debut. I was both the eldest and the leader, with a harmless, soft-looking face that melted hearts. One glance, one smile, one finger heart, and the fans would scream like the world was ending. Now that I think about it, it's honestly cringe-worthy. If someone asked me to do those poses again today, I'd rather just die on the spot. As for our youngest, Lin Shuhao, he was the total opposite of my cute leader image. His public persona was that of a gentle, caring boy, the kind who'd help you fix your tie without saying a word. But behind that image, he was actually dark, sharp-tongued, and kind of venomous. He never had a kind word for anyone. Thinking back now, after my military service, most of those memories have already gone blurry. Just then, my phone buzzed twice. I opened it to see a message from our group's main vocalist, the hopeless romantic. He told me to come by his restaurant tomorrow night. Apparently, everyone was meeting up. Looking at that last line, I couldn't help feeling a bit nervous. I told myself, I should go, would he be there too? The next evening, I found myself walking down a street I hadn't visited in what felt like ages. Wrapped in a scarf, hands tucked in my coat pockets, I muttered to myself, when's the last time I actually went out? My hair was a mess, bangs falling into my eyes. Honestly, I looked like a hermit. Ding, the bell over the door chimed as I entered. I shut the door behind me and started to take off my scarf, when a voice called out. And I turned around. It was our main vocalist, the one who'd texted me. After the group disbanded, he became an OST singer and used the money he made from soundtracks to open this barbecue place on Bar Street. Finally decided to show up. Huh, he grinned. How come you don't age? That was his first sentence to me. I didn't even know how to respond. Maybe he wasn't entirely wrong, after all. I was already 29. He poured me a beer and pushed it across the table. I glanced to the side. It was our quietest member, the one who rarely spoke. He now worked as a dance instructor at a studio. Then a teary-eyed girl sitting across from me said softly, "Opa, congratulations on finishing your service." Her name was Eugen, our main vocalist's girlfriend, and, as it turned out, my old fan. My friend sighed dramatically. When I had appendicitis, she didn't even cry. Eugen pouted. The way I like him as a fan isn't the same as the way I like you. Okay. He laughed. Fine, fine. Anyway, we're celebrating your discharge tonight, Eugen's paying. Eat as much as you want. I waved him off. Hey, no need, I've got money. He snorted. You're unemployed. We were still arguing about the bill when the doorbell chimed again. Everyone turned to look, and there he was. The visual of our group. The rapper and face of Rocket Boys, Wei Zhen. Now a model for a big online brand. He still looked flawless as ever. Long time no see, I said with a smile. He raised the shopping bag in his hand and grinned back. Of course, I will bring you some clothes. Just send me your pants size later. Our main vocalist groaned. Stop flirting and sit down already. We need more beef intestines. We laughed, talked, and toasted. Everyone seemed happy. For a moment, I was too. Someone lifted a glass and said, "Congrats on finishing your service." I smiled, took a sip, and before I knew it, my head was spinning. You still can't drink, huh? My friend sighed beside me. I rested my chin on my hand, my face flushed from the alcohol. Hey, yeah, another drink and I'll pass out here. He quickly turned to everyone. All right, Before he knocks out, let's call it a night. Eugen glanced at her watch. Wow, it's late already. When the restaurant finally closed, my friend offered to walk me home. I waved him off. I'll grab a cab, don't worry. I said goodbye to everyone and stepped out into the chilly night air. But as I reached into my pocket, I froze. My wallet was gone. Maybe I left it on the table. But by now, the restaurant would already be closed. What should I do now? Just as I was fretting over what to do, a car stopped right in front of me. The window rolled down. I leaned forward, puzzled, and saw Nyan Shuhao. Get in, he said. Out on the street, I mumbled. You should have come too, everyone was there. His tone was cool. I didn't want to get caught by paparazzi. Maybe it was alcohol, but my mind was starting to blur. All I could mutter was, "Ah, I see." Behind the wheel, Nyan Shuhao shot me a sidelong glance. Idiot, he muttered. I blinked, then burst out laughing. Seriously? If you're gonna insult me, at least pick something normal. Idiot wasn't even that bad, it was almost endearing. What are you laughing at? He asked. Confused. Maybe it was the beer, but all my tension from earlier had vanished. I answered naturally, I just meant, you haven't changed. If it weren't for you, I'd be in trouble right now. I left my wallet at the restaurant, can't even get a cab. He sighed, clearly exasperated. You're still so careless, you were like that even back then. No, actually, even when we were trainees. Remember that time I went to the bathroom for a minute and you ditched me to go eat by yourself? I froze, embarrassed. He still remembers that. Sorry, I mumbled. I'm 29 now, you can't still be holding grudges over that kind of thing. His grip on the steering wheel tightened. His voice came out calm, but distant. I just can't pretend things never happened. Then he said quietly, I'll take you home, tell me your address. Between the alcohol and the gentle swaying of the car, I was starting to think imported cars were amazing. It felt like being rocked in a cradle. My eyelids grew heavier. Whatever he said after that, I didn't hear a word. I drifted off. When Nyan Shuhao turned to ask something, I was already asleep. Hey, wake up, he said softly, but I didn't respond. He sighed, got out, and half carried me inside, unwinding the scarf from my neck, slipping off my coat, and setting me down gently in his arms. Still half asleep, I tugged weakly on his tie. So fast, we're already here. My words slurred. Ugh, I don't feel so good. He frowned. You and your drinking. Before he could finish complaining, I murmured, it's fine, just put me on the bed and go. I'll wake up soon. He sighed again, carried me to bed, laid me down, and was about to pull the blanket over me. When I mumbled with my eyes still closed, don't bother, you can leave. Loosening his tie, he looked down at me and said flatly, this is my place. That made me blink awake. I stared up at him, dazed. Huh. And then, somehow, I fell back asleep, right into that same dream again. But this time, there was a voice by my ear. I jolted upright, rubbing my temples. My head was pounding. Sitting beside me, Nyan Shuhao said casually, I took off your socks. You don't mind, do you? I used to do it before anyway. You should wash up before going back to sleep, you'll catch a cold otherwise. It'd be a pain to take care of you. Hearing his voice, I scratched my head, mortified. Why do I keep having those dreams? Where am I? I asked, confused. Motion District, he replied expressionlessly. I was going to take you home, but you fell asleep in the car. So I will bring you here. It's close to the bar street anyway. You can leave after you've rested. I looked around. The room was huge. I shouldn't. It's too nice for me to stay in. I'm such a mess. It'd be rude. I tried to get up, and froze. Something felt off. A very unmentionable change in my body. I sat there, stiff as a statue, internally screaming. Damn it, what now? After a few seconds of panic, I sighed in defeat and sat back down. Awkwardly, I said, could you hand me my coat? I'm really cold. He glanced over and replied flatly, That's why I told you to rest a bit first. I panicked. No, it's fine, I'll just go home. Can you lend me some cash for a cab? He chuckled coldly. If you can get out. Go ahead. Oh, did I forget to mention? Without a keycard, you can't even open the door. I gasped. What? My heart started racing. What is he planning? Is he going to lock me up? Or worse? I swallowed nervously and asked, what floor are we on? 25th, he said simply. My eyes widened in despair. Why not 2.5? He smirked, as if reading my thoughts. Even if it were 2.5 floors. You shouldn't jump off the balcony. You know. Remember when you got too excited at a concert and jumped off the stage? Only to injure your knee. I groaned. That's what you remember. He rubbed his head and said helplessly. It's not just that kind of thing I remember. But yeah, those two. You should really learn the difference. You know. I stared at him, startled. The difference between what? Then he reached behind him, pulled out a book, and said quietly, I know you wrote this. The cover read, Traces of His Face. His finger brushed over the tagline printed across the wrapband. No one expected the story to turn out this way. He looked at me with a sigh. I told you not to make the story so tragic. I warned you, over and over before enlistment. And yet here it is. He placed the book gently on the table. After we disbanded, you were the only one who completely shut yourself away. I never thought you'd turn those notebook scribbles into a novel. Why didn't you tell us? If I'd known, we would have celebrated with you. I lowered my head, staring at the book, silent. My thoughts drifted back, to the days before our group broke apart. To the 4th year after our debut, when everything began to change. Back then, we didn't have many schedules. At first, writing was just a way to kill time, something I did when boredom hit. Whenever an idea popped into my head, I'd jot it down. It turned into a mystery romance story, one filled with tension and quiet longing. And through most of it, there was only one main character. He was always the same person, my roommate, my group mate, the youngest member of our team. What I loved most was the final twist, when the male lead gently touched the heroine's face and realized, the girl he'd loved all along, was her. The truth shattered him. Of course, in the story, I never mentioned the character's name. I just called him the protagonist. That day, I came home with some drinks and found Nyan Shuhao sitting in the living room. Want one? I asked casually. But then, I froze. He was reading my notebook. My face went crimson. I stammered, hey, that's just something I wrote for fun. It's nothing. But Nyan Shuhao didn't hand the notebook back. He sat there, reading it with the kind of seriousness one would reserve for a literary classic. He even rested his chin on his finger and said, I heard from Qingyuan that you've been working on your solo track, and yet here you are writing a novel. This story, it's based on me, isn't it? My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. Inside, it felt like a stampede of wild horses. He noticed. Oh no, he noticed. Was he angry, upset, embarrassed? What was I supposed to say? But to my relief, Shuhao didn't look displeased at all. In fact, he seemed amused. Didn't expect someone to write a novel inspired by me, he said with a grin. Not bad. Hearing that, I couldn't help but feel a flicker of pride. Ah, really, I was worried you'd be mad, I replied quickly, though my heart was still thudding with anxiety. What if he somehow sensed those other feelings I had for him? If he found out, what then? Just as I was lost in thought, Shuhao called softly, hey, Hyung. I snapped out of it immediately. Huh, yeah. He pointed to the notebook. Since this is your work, can I have the film rights? What? I blinked, confused. Film rights? He flipped the notebook open again. I want to make it into a movie, he said simply. Then he looked up, eyes steady. And if it's adapted, I want to play the lead. The story was based on me, wasn't it? I can't let someone else take that role away. I stared at him, dumbfounded. Shuhao, I don't really understand why you're so set on this story. Shouldn't you go for something bigger? A major production, famous directors, A-list co-stars, that kind of thing. He leaned back against the table, meeting my gaze. Funny you say that. Next month, I do have a movie coming out. What? He took out his phone and opened the page for me to see. It was filmed while you were serving in the military, so you probably didn't know. I get what you're worried about. That's why I'm going to work even harder. Looking at the screen, the director's name, the cast, I couldn't help thinking. So this is what working with big names looks like. Amazing. Then he leaned closer, his voice softer. I already showed your novel to a director I trust. He loved it. If we move forward, I'll make sure the production and investment are handled by reliable people. And if you're willing, I'll even get you on board as the screenwriter. I hesitated, then shook my head. There's no need, really, you don't have to do all that. He frowned slightly. Why not? This could be a great opportunity for you. I didn't answer. Instead, I said quietly, give me the keycard, I want to go home. Didn't you say you need it to get out? I lied, he admitted. You don't need one to leave. What, you lied? I couldn't stop my face from twisting in disbelief. You're unbelievable. He chuckled. It's been a while since I've heard you scold me like that. Then he handed me a pen. I frowned. What's this for? Sign this before you go. I huffed, grabbed the pen, scribbled my signature furiously, and turned to storm off. There, happy now, I'm leaving. Behind me, his voice followed, low but steady. Are you really going to walk away like this? Yeah, don't stop me. I marched toward what I thought was the front door, though honestly, how big could one person's apartment be? Why did it feel like I'd been walking forever? Rich people's houses, I'd never understand them. Finally, I stopped before a door and muttered, this should be it. Except, there wasn't even a handle. How does this thing open? Before I could figure it out, a shadow moved behind me. I turned around. What now? Nyan Shuhao was walking toward me, slowly, deliberately. My breath hitched. I'm sorry, I blurted. I shouldn't have been so direct earlier. You look mad. He stopped right in front of me, looking down with that calm, unreadable expression. You really plan to just leave like this? He asked. I took care of you when you were drunk, brought you here to rest, and now you're walking out. I tilted my head up, meeting his eyes, and my mind went completely blank. Even when he's angry, he looks so damn handsome. Get a grip, I told myself. You've fallen for that face enough times already. After a mental pep talk, I turned away from him, muttering, I'm going home, and stopped talking about the movie. But I could feel it, his chest getting closer, his breath warm against my back. Why's he standing so close? Before I could move, he reached out and pressed his hand against the door scanner. A faint beep, and the door creaked open. I'm going, I said quickly, reaching for the handle, but he caught my wrist and pulled me back. My body turned involuntarily, and I found myself staring straight into Nyan Shuhao's eyes.